Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond The Showroom Podcast. I am Mike Davenport, joined by...
his lovely wife, Andy.
Oh, you almost said your real name. See, I got 2 weeks ago, I got yelled at for this.
That's because...
What are you doing?
I'm kind of used to saying my real name.
I love it. This is what Beyond The Showroom Podcast is all about. My wife and I have been together for 26, coming up on 27 years. Can you believe just in a couple months, 21 years married?
Yeah.
We just celebrated 20 like 2 months ago, it seemed like. We were 9 when we got married. And
wow, 9?
Everybody always asks when I tell them we have a 24-year-old, and like, what?
No, he turns 25 Thursday.
Oh my gosh, yeah, his birthday's Thursday. So we've been together for quite a while. But we're really excited about tonight's episode because we're going to be talking about the proper process you need to take when car shopping and negotiating your best deal. And I can tell you right now, you do it wrong.
No, I don't.
You don't. You have it pretty easy.
I leave it to the expert.
Yeah.
The money man.
I'm a better closer than I am a buyer. I'm a horrible buyer. I close down so easily. I'm not a good negotiator. So definitely better at selling than I am negotiating because time is an issue. So I always, just try to get it out there.
You're a lay down.
I am a lay down. So tonight's podcast is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. So I always tell everybody I'm a huge VPN guy. So this podcast is being ran over a VPN. You need to access and secure your digital life. So did you know that your hotels, airlines, and more have different prices based off of where you connect from? And did you know someone in Canada gets different programming on Netflix and other streaming services than USA? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did you? Good. I'm impressed. I love it.
I binge watched way too much TV sometimes. So yes, I pay attention to that stuff.
So I want to introduce you to Surfshark VPN. When I'm using public Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi at the airport and on my mobile device, I need a VPN to secure and then encrypt all the data I'm sending. So a new feature that I really like on this system is when you're using Surfshark, it's called HackLock. So it provides an extra layer of security. HackLock scans databases for possible email and password leaks, also providing you the user real-time alerts with any personal information that has leaked and found available on the internet. So here's the best deal for my clients and my viewers. You can get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.deals/Chevy Dude. You enter promo code with Chevy Dude. You get 83% off and 1 extra month of free subscription. This minimal cost you spend with Surfshark will outweigh the benefits and a peace of mind for your personal and private information. Use the link in the description with code ChevyDude for the amazing savings. And thank you, Surfshark, for sponsoring our podcast. So you can text your topic-related questions into the number that is on your screen, 502-909-5192. Miss Andy, Mrs. Chevy Dude over there, is the one who fields all these calls and our text messages, not calls. We're not
taking any calls.
I'm not brave enough to do calls yet. Not brave enough to do calls. So we want to get the calls one day, but I think that's going to require a third person. But text messages are a great way to communicate with us. You can certainly do the messages through chat, and we'll talk to you through that as well. But if you want to guarantee 100% your question get answered, you can use the super chat feature or become a member of the channel here on YouTube. So join us live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on Chevy Dude YouTube channel and for our live broadcast. And then every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time, we put that out on all the podcasting platforms. So you can visit there and watch it. Nobody's driving right now, so
it's
listen
to it.
Yeah, listen to it
on podcast. No watching.
Nobody's really driving right now, but you can listen to it at home and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's quite sad that we're all forced to stay home.
It's amazing, but it's nice not to get pulled over. You'll see in an upcoming video. It's gonna probably be 2 videos from now. I'm gonna launch one tomorrow night, and it'll probably be Thursday or Friday night. Probably Thursday night's video. We had some encounter with police doing 90 miles an hour in a 55 zone. So it's kind of interesting.
We were in Mexico.
Yeah, we were in Mexico. Yeah. So a couple of the topics that we're going to talk about tonight and in today's episode is you got to realize that you're the salesperson the dealership is the buyer. Has anybody ever heard that? That you as a customer are the salesperson and not the buyer? The dealership is the buyer? What do you think when I say that?
No.
Never heard that, right?
I mean, I'm looking to buy a car.
Yep.
But then again, I am looking to sell you a car.
Exactly. Trade-ins you're selling. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. How you're shopping for cars all wrong. The proper process for car buying, and negotiating tips that will have you win every single time you go to the dealership. Minimize your time inside the dealership, and it'll minimize all of those laid back things or negative things that you get from dealerships out there. So every process out there, every single person out there has something that they have in writing that allows them to do the sales process with. It doesn't matter if they are a car salesman, if they're a furniture salesman, doesn't matter what it is. It's just a matter of they are have a process that they have to follow. So there are the professionals, right? So they are professionally trained to make sure that they follow the process and do what they need to do, and that's sell a car. Well, car salespeople have a huge process, and it's very, very process-oriented inside of the car dealership. And this is something that car dealerships practice quite a bit. And so do you know the sales process for car sales?
Well, I know some of it.
What's some of it?
I mean, the first thing that you're going to do is when I walk in the door, you're going to greet me.
There you go. That's called the meet
Well,
and
at least
greet.
I would hope you would greet me.
You know, it's a subject to be talking about. So nowadays, car salespeople are all worried about sitting at their desk and all that good stuff, and they're not doing things. It's amazing, isn't it? You have to always page salespeople at the car dealerships. So I've always been taught what's called a 8-step process from the car dealership. And yeah, meet and greet is the first one. I'm on the spot now. I should have probably wrote these down before I could talk hours and hours and hours about this stuff, right?
Yeah, you're starting to ramble and rant
all right,
like
so,
normal.
But this is stuff that I love. This is stuff that I love to teach, and this is stuff that I love to do. But one thing I've never done was teach a consumer the sales process of a car dealership.
Exactly. So you have greeted me.
Yes.
And after you greet me, what is going to be the next thing you do?
Greet? What do you think? What do you think is the next step that we're going to do?
Oh, I have to. Well, first, you're going to ask me what brought me in or what I'm looking for. You're going to ask several questions to find out what it is I want to look at.
Yes. Fact find. Some dealerships call it interview process. When I was taught how to sell cars, I was always taught that this was the interview process of the car dealership. So basically, what's going on is we want to find out why you were at the dealership, why you want to buy a car, and why you want to do business with our dealership. So we ask a lot of open-ended linking questions. So, for example, I could literally be putting my elbow on your car that you're going to trade in, and I would be like, so what are you driving now? Literally ask that question, and I can see what you pulled up in on, right? But some people on the stream will be like, well, that's a dumb question to ask. And that's not. I don't know whose car that is that you drove in. I could say, is that your car? And you'd be like, yep. And then I'll have nowhere else to go, right? I have nowhere to go at that point. So the car dealership wants to ask open-ended with linking questions. So when I say, well, what are you driving now? Well, I'm driving this Ford Taurus that you're leaning up against. Oh, sweet. Oh, perfect. What do you plan on doing with that? And what would you think would be a appropriate answer?
Oh, I plan on trading it in.
Right. I plan on keeping it. I'm giving this to little Johnny. I'm giving it to little Susie, whatever the case may be, right?
I'm going to keep driving it. It's a Ford. I like it.
Yeah. So that has a lot to do with how things are happening in the car process. So you can take these steps to the sale and turn them on the car dealership. And with that being said, you can have a better understanding on what the car dealership is going to do and use that against them to get a better deals.
Well, the main thing that everybody should know is open-ended questions are always the best way to start a conversation. If you ask a yes or no question, all you're going to get is a yes or no answer. But even when you're talking to your kids, talking to friends, talking to anybody, if you want to start a conversation, use open-ended questions.
Wow.
I know, I talked.
That's awesome. You talked, and it was like dead on exactly with what we're trying to do here. And that's what consumers do wrong when they walk into the dealership. And I get it, right? So this is nothing negative towards a consumer, but I'm trying to show you and trying to tell you, when you walk into a dealership, you want to greet a salesperson with some enthusiasm, with focused eyes, make eye contact, with a smile. And guess what that salesman's going to do?
I don't like eye contact.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. You know what a good trick is for eye contact if you're like a little shy or.
Well, it would be wearing shades, but you don't want to wear shades inside.
You could. I wear sunglasses at night. But look at their nose. If I look at your nose,
but you have a funny looking nose.
Don't call. What about your nose? That little Dunphy nose that you got there.
Mine's a piggy nose.
So, but that's a. I'm glad you brought that up. That's good. So yeah, if you look at someone's nose, it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable when you're giving eye contact. 'Cause they don't know that you're looking at their nose, right? So I have sales guys approach me all the time. It's like, man, I'm really not comfortable with camera. In front of the camera, right? How did you do it? I wasn't comfortable in front of the camera either. But once I started looking at the camera as a person and I talked to the camera as a person, that made me feel more comfortable, and you see where I am today. And I would say in just the 6 weeks that we've been on here, you have changed completely different in just 6 episodes of this, of 2 hours, one night a week.
You're making me uncomfortable right now. You are staring me down with that eye contact, and I can't keep it.
I was looking at your nose the whole time. The whole time. I'm just sitting here looking at your nose.
Well, stop looking at my nose.
It's a piggy nose. It's kind of cute. So when you go into the dealership, approach that salesperson, regardless if you like salespeople or not. Approach that salesperson with enthusiasm, with a smile, shake their hand. Well, now today's, you're using the elbow bump, you're using the chicken wing to greet people.
Fist bumps have been proven to be just as bad as a high five or a handshake.
You're a big fist bump person, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, man,
I will not fist bump.
She doesn't fist bump. Triggered. So if you start that conversation off with that type of enthusiasm, that's going to put that salesperson with great confidence, right? So now, who's selling who? Are you selling the salesman, or is the salesman selling you? So you've immediately started off with giving the salesperson confidence that this is going to be a good interaction, this is going to be fun, and you're not a jerk walking into the store. There's a lot of jerks that walk into our store. There's a lot of jerks that walk into every single store. Here's a jerk move. You want to hear a jerk move? If you want to joke around with salespeople, do this, but they'll hate you for it. Who here wants to buy a car? Who here wants to sell a car? You knew that? Who here wants to sell a car? You walk into a dealership, put your hands up, look at all the salespeople. Who here wants to sell a car? Watch what they do. They all get up and run. You know why they run?
Because that person's not serious about buying.
Those people never buy cars. They never buy a car. They never do. So I don't think in the history of mankind of 20 years of me selling a car has someone ever bought a car who walks in and says, who here wants to sell a car? Or some variation of that. So,
okay, so we've done the open-ended questions. You have greeted me. We've done all that. Where are we going to go next?
I don't know.
Oh.
Where are we going?
I mean, I thought you were the salesperson.
It sounds like you're in charge here. I mean, you're talking more than you ever have.
Hey, I'm trying to keep you on topic here
I know.
and everything so we can keep on moving along and get to our questions because we're almost 30 minutes into our...
Well, we're not really 30 minutes in. We're only 14 minutes in because that's where the live stream started. We're 15 minutes prior to that.
But regardless. So I have answered your questions. I am looking for, we'll say, a Chevy Equinox.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, now you know what you're looking for, right? So imagine those open-ended questions that the salesperson is going to ask. What are you driving now? Why are you in the market for a car? What are you looking for? What do you like about your current car that you want to carry in the new car? What don't you like about your current car that you don't want to have in the new car? What options do you not have that you want to have, right? What are some absolute must-haves? Those are all open-ended questions that can link into a million
I
things.
can tell you my must-haves are fully loaded.
Yeah. So, but so when you go in to the dealership, it just makes it so much easier that you know what you're talking about. You can ask that salesperson, hey, listen, I was doing some research online and I'm really confused. What's the difference between a 1LT and a 2LT? Now that salesperson probably isn't going to know, right? Unfortunately, we have a lot of mediocre salespeople in the car business, but with every dealership, with every manufacturer out there, they give us that information, even if it's a brochure. So even if the salesperson doesn't know, he's like, hey, do you have a sales brochure? Do we do anything online? Is there a way to look at it? Blah, blah, blah. Then that's fine. But let's take the salesperson out of it. Let's not do that. If you need a question like that answered, it's all out there on the internet for you. If you go to Honda.com, Chevy.com, to Ford.com, whatever the case may be, they're all out there. Like we have Volkswagen at our dealership or at our group, and we have Subaru, and we have Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Hyundai. I don't sell those cars very much. And when someone comes in and says, hey, what's the difference between this Jetta line and this Jetta or trim level, this Jetta trim level and this Jetta trim level? I don't know. But you know what I do? I go to VW.com and I'll look up the difference between an SE and an SEL is boom, 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 right? And I've sold enough of them that I kind of have an idea between them. But typically speaking, it's mainly interior options, right? So the big one right now, people always ask, what's the difference between 1, 2, and 3LT Corvette? It's all interior options with the exception of forward-facing cameras when you go from a 1 to a 2LT. So when you go to a 2 to a 3LT, it's all extra trim and interior colors, GT2 seat standards, stuff like that. It's all internal stuff. It's all really easy, but it's extremely complicated and extremely confusing. So with that being said, don't be afraid to ask those questions, but don't get upset with the salesperson if he doesn't know. There's most likely someone in the dealership like me that knows everything about these darn cars, who prides themselves on product knowledge. And that goes back into what I've talked about in past videos and past podcasts, is research your salesperson before you go in. Don't just walk into a dealership blind. Call and make an appointment. Call and ask for a specific salesperson. And do you know where you look for that information at?
Well, I know a good place to look.
What's
is that? DealerRater.com.
Yes. And DealerRater doesn't pay me to say that. I just like their service. You can look at Google. Google's a little bit harder to look for because you're going to have to look at individual reviews. But if you go to DealerRater, they're all individualized by people who they communicate with. So even if I have to type in a name, John Smith, it just started yesterday. Even if I have to type in that name as a consumer that, hey, I was there and this is the person I dealt with, it still categorizes it by that name. So it's kind of nice that it's done that way, and it makes it really, really, really simple to do so. So, don't be afraid to call the dealership and say, hey, listen, who's your best product knowledge person? Who's your top salesperson? That's who I want to work with. I want to buy a Honda CR-V. I want to buy a Chevy Equinox. I want to buy whatever. And don't be afraid to ask for that person, because again, who's selling who? And if the dealership says, hey, listen, I can't provide a salesperson, I have to do whatever the internal process is. So like my dealership, if you call and say, hey, listen, who's your best salesperson? Sometimes they'll be like, hey, listen, it's a Ron Robin thing, right? We have an internal system that sends a text message to all the salespeople. We respond that we can take it and do it. So that's when you say, hey, listen, I'm not willing to do business with you unless you get me your number one salesperson that knows about Corvette, knows about the Honda, knows about this, knows about that model, right? And when you do that, what are you doing? You're selling the dealership.
Yeah, you had me lost there.
That's good.
You're ranting
so
a little bit.
you're selling the dealership. You are selling them. they're not selling you. So when you do that stuff, that makes the process so much easier and so much simpler to come in and doing it. So that's how, you're shopping for cars all wrong, is when you just go in blind. You just don't go in and ask for a salesperson. You don't look for that professional, right? It's the same thing as when you go to a doctor, an attorney, or any other profession that has to go to a lot of schooling to get stuff done. You're going to ask a lot of questions to that person to make sure that they're confident that they can do open heart surgery on you, that they can take out your kidney, they can, do a lung transplant, right? You're not just going to let someone cut you open and do everything. Treat it like that. Treat it life-threatening, that, hey, listen, this is your money, and this is what you want to make sure that you get done. So, that's what you want to make sure you do. So after you've done that interview process, after you've got the communication back, you've let the salesperson know what you're looking for. Now we get to do what?
Go shopping.
We get to look at the cars, right?
Do we? I really want to look at my car.
Right. We do what's called product presentation. We call, vehicle walk around, stuff like that. So now you can look at that car and make sure that it's completely 100% of what you're looking for. So, look at it. Look how the options. Just take 5-10 minutes. Go over it. Sit there and do it. Don't just hop in the car and start driving. It's the worst thing to do, is just hop in a car and start driving.
Oh, but you do that to me all the time.
It's a little bit different.
How's it different?
Because I'm the buyer.
I'll have to hop in a car I've never driven before, and I had never driven a Corvette before until I took delivery of the C7, and it had been at least 15 years since I had driven a stick, and you asked me to take it off the showroom floor. Yeah, never even drove the car before.
Yeah, that would have been I should have just been recording content that day.
Luckily, I didn't stall it.
No, I know. That would have been awesome.
Thanks.
So yeah, go out and sit in that car. Make sure you understand how things work, right? Pair your cell phone with that car. Understand how the cell phone works. Call somebody. Hey, how do I sound? Dad, mom, Billy, whoever you want to call. I'm on a test drive. I'm sitting in a Chevy Equinox, blah, blah, blah. And how do I sound? How's it work? How's voice recognition work? If you say, hey, Siri, call my wife, right? And it comes through the speakers when you do that. So it's all that stuff. Know how CarPlay works, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Know how that stuff works. Get to know that stuff before you go out on a test drive. Know where the mirrors are at. Know how the mirrors work. Now we have these digital mirrors, right? Now you flip a switch on the mirror and it shows you a video of what's behind you. You don't look through the mirror. So you could have 30 people in your minivan. You can't see out of it. You flip a little switch and you see what's behind you, and you don't see 30 people in your minivan. So understand how a lot of that stuff works. It's complicated tech.
Wow, 30 people in my minivan?
Yeah. Clown car.
What? I was going to say, what am I trying to haul around there?
So that's huge to do that. That's called the product presentation. It's called that's called the, selective presentation is what I've always been taught, stuff like that. After you get comfortable with knowing everything works, where the wipers are, all the mirrors are adjusted, that's when you go on the test drive.
Ooh, test drive.
How many test drives you been on?
0.
I think I'm about the same way.
For
personal cars.
Wait. No, I've been on one. Because we did go to Tesla back in 2014.
Oh, true.
And do a test drive.
Yeah. Was it 2014 or was it?
No, it was 2014.
It was 2014. So, yeah, we did do that because that was an expensive car. And at the time, that would have been our most expensive car that we bought. So we ended up not buying it. But yeah, that's true. We did go test drive that car. So I made sure that he knew I was a car salesman and kind of, like, hey.
And that was kind of scary. Definitely scary.
Oh, yeah. I scared the hell out of that salesman, too.
Well, when the salesman sits there and tells you to floor it and you're all of a sudden doing 70 and a 35, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Well, he told me to drive it however I wanted. And I'm like, I'm a Corvette salesman, right? And I go to schooling on these Corvettes and I know how to drive and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, he's telling me slowing down, and he's getting his feet up on the seat because he's scared. And for the people on the live stream, he literally was like this. Slow down, because I was taking this Model S around a curve, scorching the tires and complete control, but I was doing 80 or so on a 45 corner. But so which brings us up to the test drives, right? So go on a long test drive. Don't go on a short test drive. A lot of people want to be like, go right around the block and be done, right? Especially on a used car, So the used cars are really, really important to put some miles on them. So I'm not to that point anymore. So I'm just not to that point anymore that I go on test drives much anymore, because I'm dealing with a lot of repeat clients, and certainly you're not test driving Corvettes right now. But if I need to go on a test drive, I go on a really long test drive for a customer. My test drive route, I've got several of them, but my longest test drive route is 16 miles long. It almost takes 25 minutes to do this test drive, depending on ours hitting lights or we were pulling over and letting people switch, stuff like that. So we can certainly get it done in probably 10 minutes if we're on a Corvette. But it's 16 miles long, and it takes anywhere from 16 to 25 minutes. So, take back roads, take interstates, make sure you can get some bumps out there. I'm in a pretty affluent area of Louisville. So all of our roads are like paved perfectly, which I hate. I like bumpy roads to show how good the suspension is on our trucks, and the air ride suspension on the I just said air ride, our magnetic ride control, like on our Tahoes and stuff like that, to show how well that big SUV handles and stuff like that, how well the Traverse rides, stuff like that. So I like doing that stuff. So I know some railroad tracks and some bumps and some curves and stuff like that, that I like to go over and do. So go on those long test drives, because it's really, really important. Get that car up to 70, 80 miles an hour. I don't condone speeding, but I mean, let's just look at it. We all do 80 miles an hour on the interstate everywhere we go. And sometimes when I'm doing 90, I'm getting passed, for God's sakes.
I don't drive that fast.
I do 90 in Mexico where it's legal. So, get that car up to speed and make sure there's no wobbles or shimmies or shakes or rattles at high speeds. Make sure there's no goofy wind noises on new and used cars, right? There's no such thing as a perfect car. I can show you flaws on my Corvette, both my Corvettes that are in the garage. I had flaws on the 16 when we got it. There's paint imperfections, and the 20 has got paint. It's got imperfections too, and you'll find out some damage that's on the car in tomorrow's video, I think. So, so that goes a long way with that as well. So you need to go out and really, really test this car out. That's what it's all about. Hit the brakes really hard at 20 to 30 miles an hour. Just slam on the brakes and make the ABS work and all that good stuff as well, because that's really, really important to do and get out there. So now, as a salesperson training salespeople, I say the same thing to salespeople. Get your customers to do this. Make them fall in love with the car. Make them take mental ownership of the car. So that's what you got to make sure you do is, again, we're selling the dealership, right? We're going to sell the dealership. You've never heard this terminology before. Sell the dealership that you want to buy a car. So you tell the salesperson on your test drive, I could see myself driving this for the next 3 to 5 years. I can see myself owning this car for a long time. I can see myself going on vacation with my family in this car, the weekend trips in this car. Now you start talking to this person, this salesperson, and talking to them that you're going to really enjoy owning this car and doing things with it. Again, we're selling the salesperson. I'm not trying to be deceitful. I'm not trying to give any away secrets or any backdoor stuff, because the number one reason for a salesperson to come into the dealership, an employee of the dealership to come in, is to sell a car. You go there to buy a car. So if you're serious about buying a car, now you make it obvious that you're serious to buy the car, and now you get that salesperson working on your side. See where I'm selling the dealership now?
Yes.
Do you like it? You like that idea?
No.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, I was like, no. I got scared there for a second that you said no. So, we don't talk about any of the stuff prior to. I come up with the idea, I come up with my notes, and I just let it go. And just like I do on all my YouTube videos, I ad-lib everything. I have all this knowledge in my head, right? And I don't like scripts. I don't like scripting things out. I don't like, I like maybe make some notes and stuff like that to make sure that I stay on point, but everything we do is ad-lib. So when she just said no, she scared me. I'm like, oh crap, am I doing something wrong? Am I saying something wrong as a consumer standpoint? Because that's what we're all about. I know the sales end of it. you can kind of keep me on task with what the consumer might be thinking.
I'm trying to tonight.
Am I off? Am I way off?
I'm just
amped up. I had this big Red Bull. Big Red Bull.
Yeah,
earlier.
You need to stop drinking that crap. But okay, so I'm on my test drive. I'm sitting there saying what I love and what I hate about the car. But ultimately, you can tell that I really like this Equinox that I'm driving, and we're going back to the dealership. So what comes next?
Well, I think we're still on the test drive.
No, I just said we got back to the dealership.
So, I didn't hear you. I wasn't paying attention.
Exactly.
So no, when you get back to the dealership, so a question I ask every single customer, this is salesman Mike talking, right? I want to know, as a salesperson, because I want to close you, I want you to buy this car from me, right? The question I ask every single test drive recipient, I don't know if I said that. I don't know if are they a test drive recipient. I don't know. Potential customer. Maybe that's a better way to say it. I ask them, does this car meet all your wants and needs? Is that a linking question? Is that an open-ended question?
No.
That is a closed-ended question. I want you to say yes or no. I don't want any other response. Maybe, I don't know. I want a yes or a no, because if you say yes, I know we go into the next step, and that's you buying the car. If you say no, now I start asking those open-ended linking questions. Okay, well, what's your concern of the car? Why don't you like it? Why don't you want to buy this car? Right? I'm not going to ask questions. I'm not going to ask directly like that. And maybe if someone's, I don't think so. A lot of times when they say no, they're going to start bringing things up. And that's when my analogy is, you have two of these, and I'm pointing to my ears for the listeners. You have one of these, I'm pointing to my mouth, is you listen twice as much as you talk. And, when I'm selling cars, I keep my mouth shut. I don't talk very much. I listen more than I talk, because a lot of times the consumer is giving me the information I need to help them purchase a car and for me to do what I do, and that's to sell cars. So when I ask that question, does this vehicle meet all your wants and needs, and you say no, typically speaking, the consumer is going to say, no, I don't think so. I don't like the color. I didn't like how this rode, or, I think it's too much money, or whatever the case may be. But when you say yes, perfect, let's go. And then we start, finding out the trade, getting the purchase stuff around, stuff like that. So, and that would be the next step. Do you have a trade? Be honest here. Don't lie. Unfortunately, we do have some dishonest dealers, and you got to play that game. But if you're dealing with a dealership that's got nothing but 5-star reviews, or they're a 4.6 on Google or something like that they got high reviews, and you're looking at all the reviews, and I'm sure you guys are like me. I don't look at the good reviews. I look at the negative reviews, right? I go to the 1 stars. Why do they have? Let's see what the 1 stars read. When's the last time they got a 1 star? What was that 1 star regarding? Let's go to the 2 stars. Why are people giving them 2 and 3 stars, right? I don't care about the 4 stars. I don't care about the 5 stars. I want to see the 1s and the 2s for sure. Maybe I'll look at 3s depending on how many the people have. So if that dealership does not have consistent negative reviews of the dealership saying, hey, they're price scamming, or, they tried to steal my trade, or blah, 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 whatever the negative things that you could find on the internet about this dealer, then just be honest with them. You've been with this salesperson now probably for 45 minutes to an hour at this point, and if they're being honest with you or not. A lot of times customers ask me questions that they already know, because they're trying me on. They're going to see if I'm honest or dishonest about it. And you need to ask questions to this salesperson. I've got that back in the interview process. Ask questions that you already know the answer to test the salesperson out. Hey, how many colors does this car come in? 146. It really comes in 3, right? Ask silly questions like that. It's like, hey, do you have a blue car in stock of this color, or this car? And if they say yes, because they have 1 blue car, and they say no, we don't, or they know they don't, they're lying, right? You can ask silly questions like that. So, Smitty Rock, thank you so much. I forgot somebody else threw in a super chat earlier. He just threw in a Steve Roberson, I think. Thank you for the 2. So yeah, ask easy questions that they're like your softball pitching. You're just lobbing it up for them to answer, and that you're going to test them out to see if it's truthful or not. So, so again, be truthful through the whole process on both ends, because you want the truth to come to you. So give the truth to them. And yeah, I do have a trade. Were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, trying to get us back on topic here. I have my trade, and you're going to take and appraise my trade, of course,
right,
and tell me how much it's worth. But while your manager is appraising my trade, what are you going to do with me?
So,
am I going to just sit at your desk, bored to death, looking at my phone, looking at other car dealerships and seeing what their prices are on the same vehicle?
Well, with my customers, we drink bourbon, drink beer, do shots of tequila.
You do have that pecan liqueur
I do.
at your desk.
People bring me in alcohol all the time, and I don't drink much, but yeah, I do have that. Yeah, I yesterday went to work, and who knows if we're gonna be shut down by the state or whatever, and so I said, hey, you guys want to take some shots of this pecan liqueur? What are they going to do? Fire us, and so just joking around at work and stuff like that. But no, during that process, what I do, every salesperson is different, right? I like to multitask, and I like to, hey, throw the keys to the manager who's going to appraise the car, and then I go back and do other things. And that's typically when I come back as a salesperson and start asking, how are you going to pay for the car? Are you going to pay cash? Are you financing? Do you owe money on your trade? How's your credit? I already know how your credit is before you even walk in the door, typically with me, because I've been doing it for so long, and I ask the proper questions during the interview process. But no, I kind of ask those questions. How are you paying for it? How you doing things? And if I need to get things around, we get things around. We multitask, right? So while they're out appraising the car and you're going to finance the car, I might get a credit app. I don't. If you tell me you're at 800 credit score, I don't need to get a credit app. I know you can buy anything you want. If you're like, I'm low 600s, high 500s, Credit Karma says I'm a 550. Now we're going to go a different route and, again, conserve some time and get things done correctly and go with the program, so that way we ultimately get what we got going, what we came in for, right? And that's to
buy a car,
truck, van, SUV, whatever the case may be. So
buy a vehicle.
Buy a vehicle. Yep. So that's the way to do it. At that point, you're just going to negotiate. You're going to get the numbers. So down in the description of the podcast and of the live stream, there is a link to get a couple things. There's a ebook that I put together on 8 tips how to buy a car. And there's also 2 worksheets in there that I'll email you over. And that is about how to make sure that you have the proper pricing for new and used cars, so that way you can write it down. So that way the dealership can't use a Foursquare against you. You want full, transparent numbers. You want to know what the value of the purchase price of their car is. You want to know if it's a new car, what the rebates are. If it's a new car, what the true MSRP is on the factory Maroni sticker. What your trade's worth, what sales taxes are, what the bottom line is, and that way you can go from there. So that's really important. And then right now we're talking about, we have 0% for 84 months. We have 90 days, 120 days to first payment on certain models. And at that point, you maybe want to ask the salesperson, can you show me the differences between if I do 0% and not 0%, what the differences in the pricing is, what the payments are? Because if you trade often, if you trade like the average consumer every 39 months, you don't want to do 84-month financing. That's bad news for your value of your car. Yeah, that 0% sounds awesome, but then you do 120 days of your first payment. Now your car's depreciating and you're driving it every day for 120 days and you're not making any payments to lower the note, the bank loan on your car. So that's not always, 0% is not always the best thing to do. Any questions over there that we need to answer?
There's a lot of questions coming in, but not a lot that are actually kind of on topic.
Okay.
So,
even if they're close, we can talk about them.
Let's go ahead and continue talking about, I got my trade numbers. I've gotten the numbers for the vehicle I'm looking at purchasing. So where am I going now?
Well, now negotiating, right? And this is kind of the last thing that we're going to talk about here is negotiating tips that will have you win every time. So remember, you're the salesperson. You're selling them. They're not selling you. And the thing of it is that you want to be cool, calm, collective. Say the dealership lowballs you on your trade. You got to do your proper research beforehand, which we've talked about in past podcasts and past videos, at which you can go backwards and listen and watch those. But the thing of it is you want to make sure that you have all that information documented. If it's screenshots or if it's showing, here, look at this website, why is my trade so low? You want to sit there and go after that and show them, here's the information, here's the information that you should be at and should be giving me this much money for my trade. Right now, a lot of times people will cop an attitude. Oh, you're trying to steal my trade, right? It's an emotional. What the dealership is trying to do is get you to be emotional, because emotional people buy cars. Emotional people make bad decisions. So if you sit there and you stay calm, cool, collective when something negative is happening, now you don't have to worry about, being emotional. You got your head in the game. It's just like anything you do at work. If you do something at work that all of a sudden stuff goes astray, but you know what you're doing and you're professional, and a lot of times you're going to be cool, calm, collective and get through the process and get through the negative and get things done in a calm factor. You're not just going to walk out and say, I'm going home for the day. I'm done with this crap and whatnot. So you got to negotiate with a cool, calm, collective head to get what you want to do, and that is get the car bought and enjoy afterwards the purchase that you've made. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So, and a lot of times people ask me about employee programs. Be upfront about that, because a lot of times employee programs don't stack with incentives that are on the website. So like with my dealership, we have trade-in bonus cash. That's something the dealership is doing, but we're assuming you're not an employee, which in our area is fine because we don't have too many employees. But if you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana, or in Detroit or something like that, where there's a lot of employees, you got to make sure that you understand the process. Mike Phillips, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. So, but with that being said, you need to tell them up front that, hey, I'm a supplier, I'm a manufacturer, my family works at GM or Ford or Chrysler. With Chrysler stuff, there's 5,000 companies or something like that, some stupid number, 50,000 maybe, companies that get supplier discounts. So you almost automatically going into Chrysler and getting supplier discounts. So you just got to ask how they're pricing it based off of that. Supplier pricing nowadays is very common, right? So every human being walking into a dealership can get supplier pricing. So if you work for like UPS or FedEx or a tire company or a seat company or whatever, supplier pricing may not be any different from what's on their website, but you just got to ask that, up front to understand all that stuff as well.
Okay. Well, I think you have done plenty of talking tonight. And so let's try to get to some of these questions. Most of them are not exactly on this topic, but we're just going to go ahead and start answering some things. First question is going in and offering a nickel deal over invoice plus the dealer hold number still a good method? So that's like really old school talking, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know if a nickel over invoice.
A nickel deal over invoice plus the dealer hold.
Is that a $500? Is that a $500? Is that what they mean? That's really old school. Because a nickel would mean $500, right? So
basically, if you're thinking old school does not work anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, if I could sell every car deal at $500 over invoice, I'd be happy. Oh my gosh! I mean, I'd have 6 Corvettes in my driveway if I could do that. So, but no, I mean, especially new car deals. I mean, new car dealers are working at 2% over a net profit, right? I mean, that's what their operating profit is, 2% net. That means after they pay the light bills, after they pay us, after they pay their overhead, hold back. My dealership, I can only speak for my dealership. I can't speak for everybody else. But my dealership, our pricing, you got all the holdback. You know, you take 10% off of a Corvette deal. That's all the holdback. There ain't nothing else to go on.
That goes into this next question.
Someone said 1983 called. They want their negotiating tactics back. Oh, that's Mike Phillips. He's right.
Can holdback money be part of the negotiation when buying a new car or truck?
Yeah, that's what I just kind of just said. A lot of times it is, right? So,
but the dealer's already given up their holdback.
Right, correct.
So it's not really part of the negotiation on the consumer part because the dealer has already given it up.
Right, correct. So when dealerships are pricing things nowadays, they're pricing things pretty aggressively. The good dealerships are. They're pricing things pretty aggressively, and they typically are going to give all the holdback up anyways, because the holdback is good to have, but now there's so many programs behind the scenes that don't affect the consumer, which is why the dealerships are giving up holdback, because they're going after that money there. And I used to say this all the time when I was negotiating. Listen, I'm not really trying to sell you a car to make money off of you. I want to sell you a car to sell a unit, so that way I can make my money back from the manufacturer. So my profit is coming from the manufacturer. It's not coming from you. And I think a lot of times people understand that to an extent that, like, listen, I just want to help you and sell you a car, and I'll make my money from the manufacturer. Does that make sense to you when I say that?
Yeah.
Does it?
But then again,
you've probably heard me say that
I've
before.
been around too much that I do understand that stuff. So, here's kind of a good question. When are the dealerships going to wise up and stop the back and forth between salesman and manager every time someone's buying a car? It's nothing but a pain in the butt, and it drags the sale out and makes it very unenjoyable.
A good dealership doesn't do that. I don't go back and forth with managers. I don't negotiate. Our dealership doesn't negotiate. So a lot of this stuff happens because of you, the consumer. So, if you've done your research right, and I saw someone in here come in, just offer 20% off MSRP. That ain't going to work. That person right there is the reason they're going back and forth. The consumer does cause some issues, but so does the dealership as well. So don't think I'm blaming everybody, putting this all one-sided. But, you got to realize that if you're coming in and being so unrealistic, we had a lady in the dealership just totally unrealistic on Monday, right? She comes in wearing a mask. She's older. She's like, listen, coronavirus, I want $1,500 off this or I'm walking, and you guys won't sell a car. It's like, well, I would rather not sell a car for $1,500 loser deal, right? So losing $1,500 profit. Go walk, lady. You're doing me a favor, right? So that wasn't my customer, but I was telling the salesperson, like, just tell her that's not going to work. It's like, you can't use coronavirus and say that we're going to get a good deal. We'll file a claim with our insurance company. They're going to pay us $50,000 a day for lost wages. So who cares? We'll get our money from the insurance company, So, that's the kind of ridiculousness that happens. So that's where sometimes when, as a consumer, you try to negotiate a little bit, and the dealership is the salesperson may be frustrated a little bit, but that's why I said when you go in, you're selling them, they're not selling you.
And right now, with the current health crisis that we have going on, dealerships are going to want to sell cars, but they don't want to lose money. So, if you're offering less money than what they have into the car, it's not going to happen because they are not that desperate yet. And, who knows if we're ever going to get that desperate. But, if you're selling something at a loser, you're not making money, so you can't pay the bills in the first place. So, it's not going to matter if you sold that car or not.
Right. If you want to see desperate, go back to 2009. That's when dealerships were desperate, and they still weren't making deals like that. I could get a better deal in 2011 than I could in 2009. So that's, it's just that Tom said dealers make money on volume. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying is yes. And that's why the dealerships who make money on the volume, they negotiate before you get there, because I've said this in past videos. you could be this is the analogy I love to use. I love to use this because it goes to the extreme and it makes a complete sense. 2 a.m. in the morning, you're completely naked in front of your computer and you're looking at car deals.
I would never be looking at cars in front of my computer completely naked.
You mean again? I saw you doing that last night.
I was going to say I might be looking at them on my phone.
Right,
laying in bed.
So you're looking at on your device completely naked and you look at car deals and you're like, oh, I like this car. That's a great price. Oh, I like this car. It's too high price. And you just keep swiping. So that's the way that my dealership thinks. That's the kind of way I think, that I've got to capture you when I have 10 seconds of your attention span, right? The average consumer has got 3 different devices going: a TV, a phone, an iPad. That's what the average consumer has going on when they're at home or whatever. 3 different devices getting all this information from her. I think the stat was for every 15 minutes of time, a consumer pulls in an hour's worth of information. So it's because they got so many different devices going on and communications and stuff like that. So that's the way I like to look at it, is I got to capture your attention when I don't have an opportunity to rebuttal, when I don't have a time to negotiate. Oh, we can do a little bit better. What about a couple $100? What about $1,000? Whatever. So that's what you've got to go through and do it that way, right? So that's why a lot of dealers are pricing things dead on, and they're not negotiating anymore.
Okay. Somebody asked, are used cars usually brought up to date on maintenance before selling? All the ones I've seen appear to be behind, and salesmen say belts and hoses last a long time today.
That was on new cars?
No, used.
Used cars?
If used cars are brought up to date.
That's what I thought you said. I thought you said new. I'm like, new? What? So, I mean, it depends on the dealership, right? Every dealership is different, and that's a question you got to ask during your test drive and stuff like that. Is like, hey, what on a used car, what inspections have you done on this used car, stuff like that. So that's something that you need to look at and do, and ask them as to what inspections. So belts and hoses do last a long time. They're not like they were 20 years ago, and you have to replace them. I mean, that's not even in the maintenance. It's not even in the maintenance schedule to replace hoses. They do say inspect, but if you inspect them and they're not cracking or anything like that, then there's nothing to do. I will say this, I forgot about this as well, is when you're negotiating, it's okay to bring someone with you, but if they're not financially involved, that person's going to screw your deal up, because they're not interested. It's not their money, and they're trying to, in a nutshell, they're trying to pound on their chest and show how macho they are. That buyer's helper sometimes hurts you. Yes, bring someone with you, bring backup, bring a second voice, but be careful on bringing that buyer's helper, that third base coach, as a lot of people say, because a lot of times they do hinder you in buying a car. I've seen that happen so many times that, like,
well, and I can understand that, but I would say, like, there's a lot of people out there that are really shy and not very outspoken. I can say sometimes for me, it's easier just to agree with somebody than to speak up, because people don't like it when I speak up my truth. So, and when I speak the truth, I'm very blunt, and I can come across as a queen bee a lot of times. So, I find it easier sometimes just to agree on things, and where, like, if we were going out to buy something together, whether it's furniture, shopping, whatever, I normally let you do all the talking, not because you're a salesman, but because I find that it's just easier for me. I don't have to worry about things. I guess I've gotten better as I've gotten older. You do learn a lot of things with age.
Yeah, you do. And, like I said earlier, I'm not that great of a negotiator. People tell me no all the time. I'm like, okay, here's my money, right? So just treat me fair. That's all I ever care about. Just treat me fair. I'll be loyal to you. I'll do whatever I need to do to help you out. All my business dealings and all my business partners, everything works out really, really well with everybody involved. So, and that's the way you got to go into this negotiating. Is it's a business partnership. You want to build a relationship. Me personally, most all of my friends are from the car business, right? They're either part of the car business now, or I sold them a car. And I mean, you know how many people we talk to on a routine basis. You know, Trish and Tony is one of them. You know, I see their kids when they're really, really small, or newborn kids, and they grow up. You know, Scotty and Tina, you know, they're great. You know, their grandson Grayson, I knew that kid when he was born, you know, and now he's 7, 11, no, he's 8. I think he's 8 now, you know, so that, you know, I've known that kid for 8 years. And if I'm in this business for 8 more years, I may be selling him his first car, you know, so that happens a lot.
Yeah. So this is kind of interesting. Tom said, Mike, can I drive off with a base 2020 C8 for $55,000 cash from your dealership?
Nope.
Exactly.
60 grand plus tax, title, license fees.
Supply and demand.
Yep.
Right now, Corvettes, C8s, 2020 models, and possibly
2021 most likely
we are at MSRP. But that goes into another question that somebody said, aside from the Corvette, are you saying everyone should pay MSRP? And
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. So on a supply and demand, yeah, you're gonna pay MSRP, but you know, on a Silverado, you're never gonna pay MSRP. I'm gonna address this one right here. Archie says, I can't wait until we buy direct from the manufacturer. Dealerships are overhead.
Oh,
go to Tesla. Go to Tesla. Getting a minor fender bender with Tesla and see how much that costs to repair that car. That's your perfect example. Look at Tesla.
No, it's
what
not
they
how
do.
much it costs to repair your car. It's how long it's going to take to repair your car.
Yep.
Because on a Tesla, it can take up to 6 months for you to get that part.
A fender.
From Tesla.
Yeah, a fender.
And a lot of people end up without a car for a good long time. Not to mention, hitting a deer can cost you $30,000 in damage. And then sitting for 6 months without use of that car that you are still paying payments on, most likely.
Yeah.
But then on top of it, Tesla changes their mind every couple of weeks as to how they want to basically price their cars.
Their warranties available. They give, the supercharging they give.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different things that go on with the capability of buying from a manufacturer.
Right.
And, you know, just know that I love my Tesla, but the company itself and some of the crap I see that they do, I'm not a fan of that.
And that's pretty much every company out there. You always can find negative things and stuff like that. But buying directly from the manufacturer, go to Apple and negotiate that iPhone. Not happening. Now go do it for Google or Android because you don't buy from the manufacturer. You know, go buy your iRoomba from iRoomba. I guarantee it won't. You know, their top end models are $900. Jack that up to $1,500 all day long. It's just the way it is. Buying directly from the manufacturer does not save you money. It's usually cost you money. And I'm glad that the state legislators are fighting to not allow, you know, to buy direct because it doesn't help you.
I mean, you have other problems on top of that because we've talked about it in one of our servicing the Tesla, one of our videos. But basically, when it came time to service our Tesla, because right now they are manufacturing so many vehicles at a lower price point and more people are driving them, their service departments are taking longer and longer to get people in because they don't have enough dealerships, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Because it's really not a dealership, but service centers, they don't have enough of anything out there to service the amount of cars that they're producing.
Right. It's really
But that's a whole nother topic.
Yep. So somebody just said that our stuff is off sync. That's crazy.
Well, I don't know.
See how this works.
Okay. So somebody said, if a dealer won't let me use your new car buying form and fill it out when inquiring about a vehicle and tell me that we don't need to go over that, is that a bad sign, or is it just because we didn't get to financing?
I would say that's probably a bad sign because that is them trying to hide things from you. Where's the mic delay at?
And Tesla has not caught up with the demand since the Model 3 has came out, and the Model Y just started being delivered. So the demand for Tesla is never going to get caught up, unfortunately.
Yeah. So the big thing with Tesla is, they announce a car and get all that capital, and that's how they gain stuff. It's crazy how they do it.
Okay.
I wish GM and Chevrolet would do that.
I don't know. The announcing of the C8 and the amount of time it has taken to get production going and get everything ramped up and actually cars delivered, people are more impatient compared to those who are buying the Tesla. I mean, how long ago was the Roadster, the second generation of Roadsters, announced that they haven't even started producing? They just started producing the Y.
Right.
And so I don't know. That's, again, a whole nother topic, and you can get me going all night long on Tesla because I'm in way too many groups and see way too much stuff. And, again, love my car, but that's a whole different, the company's a whole different ballgame.
Yep.
Okay, when is the prime time to purchase a previous year car? For example, I'm looking into a 2020 Camaro 2SS, but I'm waiting for more ideal APR pricing.
I mean, APR, bank, they just lowered the APR to 0%. So you're not going to get 0% on that car, but, you're going to get a good interest rate from the banks. So I would say right now, Camaro sales are dead. So, you're not going to see too big of discounts. It's unfortunate, but, it is what it is.
Imagine that you call out a customer and they're actually on watching.
Who, Trish?
Trish.
That's awesome.
Yes, I got a text saying, thanks for the shout out. We love the Chevy Dude, Trish and Tony.
Now I should start talking bad about them.
But
that's funny.
Okay.
That's what car salespeople don't realize is, like, some car salespeople hate me because I go out here and I talk about this stuff. But if they listen to me and they treated their customers the way I treat people, and I'm transparent about everything, they sell 10 times the amount of cars, and it's 10 times easier. So it's like I don't really work that hard. I've created my customer base, and they're loyal, and they buy cars from me, and I do everything over the phone, and they come in and they buy a car and they're done. Right.
I know we've talked about this before, but it's a question that came in, and it's always going to get asked, when's the best month to purchase a new car?
Yep. Every month. Buy when you want to buy. So traditionally speaking, you have very little difference in price throughout the year. So, I'm talking about within $500. And I say this analogy all the time. Back in 2006. No. I'll take it back. It was 2005. Back in 2005, I sold a brand new Hummer H2 to a customer. Last deal of the month. And the next day, General Motors announced for the first time employee pricing for everyone. We looked at that deal, and they had a better deal the day before at $500 cheaper. It's all the same. It's not that big of a deal. Buy when you're ready to buy. Don't be pressured in like, oh, the deals are here, we're going to sell it off from underneath you. All that BS stuff that many dealers tell you.
And I'm just going to address this. SGL, this is not a Tesla show, but it's also not a Corvette show. This is a how to help you buy a car.
Yep. And not buy a car from me. Buy a car from wherever you want to go. Use my tips and techniques to go to ABC dealer in California and negotiate yourself the best deal. That's what I'm doing this for. And it's literally, I don't want you to call me and buy a car from me. I mean, that's not what this is for. This is something that I've had a lot of passion for 20 years, and I've always wanted to do it. I've never had the opportunity to do it. And now I do.
And as we're talking about buying cars, somebody asked, is it an appropriate time to purchase a car? And I'm assuming they're talking about right now with the health crisis.
That Sterling Leach says, I don't hate you, Mike. I know you don't. But, it's tricky, right? So everybody, if you need a car, buy a car. Dealerships are taking a lot of preventative measures to make sure that it's safe. The government is taking a lot of preventative measures that you're safe. And we definitely need, this is something I was telling this on yesterday. Nobody on this planet, zero, has ever experienced this. We have never experienced anything like this ever. So I gotta go just stay away from people, right? Social distancing, a new terminology that's 5 weeks old, right? 3 weeks old. I stay away from people. I've told people, hey, come sit in the Corvette, come look at the Corvette. I was doing that, and then some guy got in my car and started coughing inside my car, coughed into his hand, and then when he got out, he put his hand on the steering wheel to get out, and it freaked me out. I'm like, nope. I was telling management, nobody else sitting in my car. We can look at it, we can do it, but until this stuff's done, I'm the nicest guy in the world. I want to help people out, but it's nobody's sitting in my car. And then a very, very affluent doctor here in Louisville texted me yesterday. It's like, hey, Mike, can I sit in your car? I know this guy. Nope, sorry, doctor, can't do it. When the coronavirus is done, come sit in it. But right now, nope, I'm not letting anybody sit in my car, and it's too risky. So it's up to you if you want to buy or not. I think it's a good time to buy. I think the risk is low. If you're a healthy human being, from what I'm reading now that I didn't work today and didn't work Saturday, from what I'm reading, someone who's healthy can fight this without medication. It's just like an average cold. But what's happening is people who are getting it, they're not healthy, and that's why they're dying. It's a new strain. They don't have anything to do with it. So, but if you look at China now, China doesn't have many new cases. They figured it out. So I'm sure that's going to happen everywhere else, Italy, here, stuff like that. By no means professional about it, but.
And segue into this next question. Do you see bigger incentives in the future for vehicles such as Chevy trucks? And when is the cutoff to order a new 2020 1500?
So the cutoff is already done. I'm pretty sure that was this month. So, but there's plenty of inventory in the pipelines that you shouldn't have to worry about ordering anything. But I have ordered a couple Silverados this year. It's really weird, the diesels. It's been the diesels that I've ordered. Every truck that I've ordered specifically for someone's been a diesel or a 3/4 ton gas. So for the half tons, it's pretty much over right now. And of course, they're not accepting. They're not producing cars right now because of the coronavirus. But I think just do it. Do what you want to do. Do it. You're done. I don't think we're going to see pandemics of 2009 financial crisis, but it's just, it is what it is.
Okay. Somebody said, I'm 38, work on my own cars, never had a car payment. Is there any reason to start now?
I'm 38. I work on my own cars and never had a car payment. It'd be up to you. It really would, because, it depends on your credit. If you got that high credit, just because you have an 800 credit score, but you've only had a credit card with $3,000 on it, it's just up to you what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is don't go into debt unless that's something that you truly want. I mean, if you're happy with the car that you have and your car gets you from point A to point B, then don't go out and buy a new car, regardless if it's right now because there's 0% or, down the road. Buy when you need it. I mean, yeah, some of us buy just because we want, but make sure you can afford it.
Right.
That's the main thing. And that's where, shows like this we're telling you straight out, hey, you don't need to buy a car, or, only buy if you can afford.
Yep. So Will said, is the GMC worth the extra money in your mind? And, I don't know. I mean, GMC and Chevy are really the same vehicles. There was some differences, and right now the big difference is the tailgate and the bed. But so that's got to be up to you if that's worth it or not. So, but really, I think you can, typically speaking, if you go to like a Denali, like a Yukon or Yukon XL to a Tahoe or Suburban, you're going to pay $5,000 more for the car. And there's not going to be much differences. Back in the day, it was, okay, you could get a 6.2 in the Denali and you couldn't get the 6.2 on the Tahoe or Suburban. So now it's all, now y'all can get it. So, but no, it's up to you on it. It's looks, the looks are different, but GMC is definitely more profitable. I think they make more money per capita on it. So, I'm going to end the podcast here. So, for the people listening to the podcast, we really appreciate you being here. Every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We're live streaming on the YouTube channel Chevy Dude, and of course you can join the Facebook group Beyond the Showroom as well, and of course follow on Instagram at Chevy Dude _. So, as always, everyone, thanks again for listening. Have a great day. And drive safely.
Okay.
All right, we're good there.
There was a question or two in here. Somebody asked about lifetime warranty, whether or not that was good. But then another person asked about lifetime guaranteed ceramic coating. So let's talk about any type of lifetime anything.
Yeah, so there's always clauses to those lifetime things, right? So the whole lifetime this, lifetime that, that's for a consumer to feel warm and fuzzy. I'm not a big fan of these lifetime warranties on cars. They cover very little and their claim rate's very low. I know you can talk to 1,000 salespeople and get 1,000 different responses, and how it saved their customer this money. Don't make that a buying decision. Take it as a freebie. Take it as a okay, sweet, I have it if I need it, right? But don't make that as a buying decision. So that's all I ever really say about it. If you're making that as a buying decision, I think that's a bad thing. Archer, thanks, buddy.
Okay, now
ever get classic cars as trade-ins? Not really, because classic cars is not a dealership's forte. They want to sell retailable, quick-moving stuff. The classic cars, there's so much risk on holding on to them. They're slow-moving and stuff like that. So it goes against the dealership's policy.
Unless the dealer specifically markets and sells classic cars.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because there are, classic car dealerships out there. But, yeah, a new car dealer isn't going to want it. They want something that they can move fast.
So Raphael asked, how far is this going to delay the Corvette convertible? I've been thinking that same thing.
Yes,
I would say
I've had a lot of Corvette questions, and I was starting to get there.
I would say a month. I bet they don't. They may not. Yeah, May probably now. We'll see. I kind of know some behind the scenes, what's going on at the plant, and I would say probably May is when we'll start seeing convertible. Maybe they'll start them up early. Maybe they'll get them done or get them on time. Just depends on the coronavirus and everything else.
At this point right now, we don't know how long anybody's going to be out of work.
Yeah.
Ford announced they're not going back to work next week, like they originally thought. We just don't know everything. The Olympics got postponed to next year because athletes can't train right now. Or I shouldn't even say can't. They shouldn't be training right now.
Right.
Some are probably finding ways to train and being out in public and everything. And so, right now, the world is just an unknown. And, it's just very hard to speculate on what's going to happen with any of that type of stuff.
Right.
somebody said, when you trade in your car for a new C8, what should the dealer provide you in writing that they own the car?
Ask that again.
Says, what should the dealer provide you in writing that they own the car? And I'm not sure which car the person's wanting to know about owning.
They own the car. I don't understand that question.
Yeah. And we did have an interesting question about the C8 rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Many police, fire, ambulance have the words written, their name, whatever, written backwards on the front end so that you can read it normal in a mirror. What about the C8? Have we had... I mean, you had...
The C8's not reversed, so...
exactly.
So
well, the question is, what's it look like then when... And I don't know if we've had those vehicles behind us.
We had that police car yesterday, but nothing on them is backwards. I don't know. I'll have one of my medic friends come over because it's always the ambulances that have them backwards. I'll have a medic. I'll look it up.
That might be a good video.
I don't think it's reversed. Maybe I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, I'll have one of my medic friends come over to the dealership and we'll check it out.
And that whole
or I can
what's that mirror?
I can print something up on Photoshop backwards and just do that. I don't need to have that happen. I'll figure it out.
What is the that type of mirror called? Is that a 360?
No, just digital rearview mirror. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm calling it.
I mean, it looks different when you are looking in it, and it takes a minute to get used to.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
So
I think we got time for 2 more questions.
You must need the potty break.
Oh, that, but yeah.
Okay, so do you have anything on that you see on our chat right now? A lot of C8 questions. And just so everybody knows, we are probably going to go live again Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll just do
where
Corvette
you can ask your Corvette and pretty much any type of questions. It won't be recorded for a podcast, so we will strictly be answering questions.
Chevy Dude is the pro up there, August said.
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm being the pro on keeping him on topic. Trying at least. What I did, somebody asked earlier about these worksheets and stuff that you keep mentioning. Are we going to put those anywhere other than the descriptions?
Nope. Gotta go to the description.
Okay.
It emails you automatically.
So basically, you have to click the
link.
Is there a link?
Yep.
See, I don't even look at this stuff. You get it. I am so not YouTube literate.
All right, guys. Well, we really appreciate you. I think we'll go live Friday night. We'll got nothing to do. So we'll go live Friday night, and we'll just do a free-for-all Q&A, and so be prepared and make sure you have all the bell notifications on, and we'll decide on Friday what time we're going to go live. And as always, thanks, guys, for being here. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and drive safely.